a moment when here we are. We're live. I was gonna say we're gonna go live here in a moment when my thing decides to work right, but here we are. We're live. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello. All right, you guys. As you guys come in, say hey. Let us know how you're doing. I have new earbuds. I got new earbuds for the TV show, so I could hear things better. And so I'm like making sure they're still in my ears. So, anyways, you guys say hey as you guys come in. I'm really excited for this conversation. As I'm excited for all conversations, but I'm more excited to just continue having these conversations as they grow, as I get to grow as an interviewer, and as we get prepared for the TV show.
Yay, baby!
I'm so excited. Keya here is going to have her own TV show too, right? Keya, you're on the TV show too.
Yes.
I'm so excited. So, you guys, as you guys come in, say hey. Let us know how you're doing. Where are you coming at from tonight? Where are you tuning in? Where are you watching from? And know, please, that you can join in on this conversation. You can ask questions of Keya, myself. All questions, dialogue, everything is welcome. I ask that you do be respectful. You don't have to agree, but we can all be respectful, I believe. You can respectfully enter in your dialogue in a nice way. So, again, if you catch this on the replay, #replay. And if you love this show, please share this for me, for us, for the women that come on here so that I can continue getting more people and more eyes on this show as it grows, especially, like I said, as we go into TV. I am just really excited for that part, like as we go into TV. And I'm going to make sure real quick that we are live here.
It says we are live.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure that we were live on Facebook because it usually shows me when people are watching. It's not showing me right now, but people are watching because I see people watching on my other page. So it's okay, you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to drop into my intro, and then I'm going to introduce my guest who has many titles and has an amazing story. Like, I've known Keya for a little bit now, so I'm excited to hear her story even more in depth now. So without further ado, hello and welcome to the Tough Woman Table, you guys. This is a table where I invite some super badass tough women like Keya here to take a seat, join in on the conversation, and share her amazing story. At Tough Women, I believe that all women have the power within themselves to live life authentically, free from fear, confident in who they are, and empowered to go out and create a life that sets their soul on fire. I share this belief by championing tough women who have walked through the fire, felt the fear, faced adversity, and kept pushing through it all. Women who now live the life they want as the woman they were created to be, and women who own their stories so other women can embrace and own theirs as well, because as we all know, and as I tell you, one day it's going to be quoted, okay? When you give yourself permission to own and share your story, you give someone else the same permission. You guys, so as you guys come in, please join in, ask questions, let us know you're here, and just drop in and join us. So you guys, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, Miss Keya, and just, you can correct me if I don't say it's Murthy, right?
Keya Murthy.
Murthy, okay. Keya Murthy. I'm so sorry. See, that's why I like people to correct me if I never know. We all learn, right? So you are an author, the founder of Ventura Healing Center, a clinical hypnotherapist, an NLP trainer. You are an energy practitioner. I feel like I'm probably missing some things. I try to get most of it. But yeah, if you will tell everybody who is Keya, please tell us a little bit about who you are, what do you do, and who you serve.
Well, who am I? I am that I am. I know that for sure. I am that I am. But for the purposes of this conversation, for this three-dimensional plane in which we all exist, we need titles, we need names, we need forms, we need titles. So I am a mother of 3 children. I work as a clinical hypnotherapist at the Ventura Healing Center. I'm also a trainer in Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And Neuro-Linguistic Programming, it's a mouthful. What it means is helps you understand your inner monologues that go on, because our inner reality, inner conversations create our external reality. So when you know how to say the right things to yourself, you have a different perspective, a different experience. So that's what I help my clients, my students with. I'm also an energy medicine practitioner. You might have heard of Reiki, which comes from Japan, pranic healing, Munaiki, which comes from the Peruvian Andes, Huna, which comes from Hawaii. So yeah, this is all part of my practice. So I have just put them all together into energy medicine like I said, I am that I am. I'm also an astrologer. I have recently graduated from the School of Astrology, taught by Deborah Silverman. She's a celebrity. She is Sting's personal astrologer. What more can I say? So yeah, yada, 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 but none of that matters. What really matters is me helping you find your authentic self through a 4-step process, understanding what's going on, accepting it, forgiving yourself for having held on to the pain for so long, and fall madly, deeply in love with yourself. That's it.
You are that you are, and all that is, right? All right, you guys. So, don't make me do that. Whatever. I wanted to make sure I could see this right. So, you guys, all right. So, this is one of my favorite, like, deep dive questions, and you can take this any way you please. Like I said, I've got some questions here. Actually, you know what? I want to take a moment and ask you the first question. And so, when I was going through your notes, I noticed that you said you were done with being a spiritual seeker. So really, I'd like to start there. So what did it mean to be a spiritual seeker, and what was that journey of just being done with that part of it? Because I think there's a lot of people right now, we're in the middle of a huge awakening from what I've, gathered from observation and just going through it myself. So what did it mean for you to quit being a spiritual seeker? What did you mean by that?
Okay, a seeker is someone who's seeking, like you go to Macy's, you go to the mall, and someone comes in and asks you, can I help you? And you said, no, I'm just checking. No, I'm just looking. So spiritual seekers are like that, we keep looking here and we look there and we look here and we look there. It's like the song says, looking for love in too many places and looking for whatever in too many faces. So that's what we do, and we all need to do that. You don't have to go and buy the first thing you see. You have to seek. But I'm done with seeking. I have been through many schools, many teachers in the human form, in the non-human form. And finally, I found myself. That is why I said I am that I am. And so for me, it is being spiritually grounded. Once you find yourself, once you know who you are, don't let anyone challenge you. Because when you are aligned with your authentic self, with your passion and your purpose, what happens is, you place yourself somewhere on the planet, somewhere in the cosmos, somewhere on the universe, and you start growing roots. And that is when you are grounded. You find your spot. You don't have to go seeking anywhere, anytime. And you become a force, like a magnet, and others come to you. And that's what I mean by saying that I'm done seeking and now I'm working on grounding. I feel grounded where I am in my own path.
And that's very resonant, because that was something for even up till pretty recently, I felt that I was working through. It's like you think you're going through this, you're going through all the growth, and you're still asking questions. And I think the people that I was going through finally got to it. They're like, listen, if you just don't go within and realize that you already have these answers, you're always going to keep asking, you're always going to keep seeking. And I see that a lot with people in the world. If I just read this next book, if I just follow this expert, if I just do all these things, and we fail to recognize that our potential for our greatest self and not having to seek already lies within us. And again, I'm going to say this, you guys, keep bringing the questions on, or the comments on. There's comments on here, and I'm glad I downloaded the app again. They're not showing up over here, but I can see them on my phone. So Kirsten says, all right, ladies, love you too. All the power to both of your spirits to speak with a breath of richness. That is just beautiful wording there, Kirsten. I love it. And she says, inner monologues can create an unrecognizable devastation at times on this 3D plane. She said, listen up. Keya has arrived. Woohoo! All right. So here's the real deep dive. And this is part of your journey. So tell us what got you started down the journey to becoming I am what I am. I feel like that's asking the question of like Ram Dass is like, how do you become nothing? So what is the beginning of I am what I am?
I was born this way. Let's face it. I was born this way. And I was strange. I was weird. I was quiet. I always knew. And people always felt this urge to come and tell me their stuff. Even when I was 4 years old, I remember people wanted to come and tell me their stuff. Older people, like really, literally the age of my grandparents, or they would come and ask me stuff like, what do you think? And I would say something. And if that is what they wanted to hear, they would be like, oh, yeah, thank you. And if that is what they did not want to hear, they'd be like, who asked you anyway? And then it would happen, and they were like, oh my God, don't ask her anything, because whatever she says comes true. So if you're not ready to hear the answer, don't ask her the question. So I'll tell you, I was born this way, weird. It's from other lifetimes, but I have gone through, readings, like in my quest, where people have told me, like Nadi readers and stuff, they have told me that this life is just a continuation of your previous lives, which I know is true for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
This human life this human body is just a cloak you wear, and when you are done with the school and you graduate from the school, you just let go of your cloak, not just your hat, and you take on another form and you just continue your journey.
And touching on that a moment, because that's something that's fascinated me quite recently. Do you feel that people would operate through life differently if they understood that the meaning of life is really to, I'm not necessarily the meaning of life, but one of the reasons we're here is to really work through the loads that we've taken on from those past lives, right? Like that karmic debt. Do you feel that people would operate a little bit differently if that was the way it was?
No. And I will tell you why. Because those who know, they know. And those who don't, we can't rush them,
Mm-hmm.
You can't rush them. When it is time for them, they will do whatever is the next thing they need to do. And this is the challenge, but this is also the greatness, the brilliance of human life, is because at any moment we have a choice. Because a tree, if you look at it, a tree can only be a tree. A carrot can only be a carrot. A plastic bottle can only be a plastic bottle. So everything is what it is. But human beings have that choice. At any moment, you have the choice to take either the high road or the low road. So when you're looking for, like, I want to coast through life, I just want to coast, you're going downhill. And you don't realize it because you're coasting downhill. And the only moment something happens is when you hit rock bottom, and then you want a pill to get out of that, a potion or a pill to get out of it, because you're not willing to do the work. But then some of us, when we hit that rock bottom, we say, okay, if it's got to be, it's up to me. You align yourself with that, and then you start your journey. So if people knew, then they would be different. But if they didn't know and you told them, they wouldn't get it. Unless you go through the experience, you don't know. You are who you are because of all the schools that you have graduated, usually the schools of hard knocks that you graduated from. Because if I come and tell you something, you don't know what it is. You're like, what is Keya talking about? But you and I can have this conversation because we have so many similarities. There is places that we connect,
Well, it reminds me of something. So there, and you may know him since you run in a pretty spiritual field. So there's a gentleman by the name of Osho. I think the guy guy who introduced me to him, he said he's like the anti-monk, essentially. Like he goes against everything, he paves his own way, right? And here come the comments now. I'm like, oh, look, here they come. A little late. It's all good, you guys. Technical stuff, right? All right.
Yeah.
And I remember him because the first book that I ever read, the first real piece of knowledge I ever took from him was about the art of compassion. I remember one night we were sitting there and I talked about how I was saddened that there were not more people who are awake. And the guy goes to me, he goes real serious. He's like, why are you sad? And he's like, that's okay. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man. He said, have compassion. And I was like, well, what do you mean have compassion? And he's like, understand. Compassion, he said, is simply understanding that everybody is on their own journey and wherever they're at is okay, that they are exactly where they need to be because they're taking what they need from wherever they're at. And that was really, really fundamental in opening my eyes to really viewing the world differently, because it really released a lot of pressure from me and how I operate around people, because I didn't need to sit there and create stories for people anymore. And I've noticed that, knowing that myself, people, we create stories for people. We create stories about how they may not like us, how their response was directly related to us, even if it's not. And it just kind of blows your mind a little bit. So I like that you dived on that, because I think it's very helpful for people to, I guess, stop taking everything so literally and personally, and understanding that it really has nothing to do with us.
No.
It
Awesome.
has nothing to do with us. All right. So I want to talk a moment, and because this was something that was key, and, bridging on like domestic violence, and especially when we're in the era of, child sex abuse and stuff, I wanted to ask you about, you talked about in your notes about being molested at age 12 by 2 men in your family. And I wanted to know, how did that shape your life as you became older? And what were the lessons and things that you really had to learn to take from that?
People who have not gone through something, this is exactly connected to what we were just talking. If you have not experienced something, it's very hard for you to believe it. Like, how is it even possible? It's not possible, because you had never experienced it. So although I did work as a physicist and a software engineer before this, okay, but I had gone through this, okay. I had these experiences in my life where people who were supposed to protect me, they came and they hurt me. I was preparing for where I am right now. So now when someone comes and tells me that this is my story, and I'm like, okay, so what can we do? Let's work. Because I was being prepared for this. Also, I know that there are no accidents. If you believe in God, and I'm talking to the listener here, if you believe in God, I will talk about it if you don't believe in God. But let's talk about that. If you believe in God or your creator or whatever, and you believe that God, he, she, it is the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-potent, all-present being, does anything happen without God's permission? No leaf can blow without his permission. Okay, that is a fact. So if things have happened to me, it happened through that consent, through that permission, And if you do not believe in God, okay, there is no God. Let's talk. There is no God. There is just what it is, There is this earth and the moon and the stars and whatever we can see. Only things we see exist. So basically, there's a universe. There's a universe that you see. There's a unified field in this. So let's go back to what Shakespeare said, because I can't top what he said. He said, this world is a stage and we are all actors on it. The world is a stage and we are all actors. And when we show up to play a role, we wear that cloak, we wear those clothes, we wear that makeup, those masks, and we play our role. And then we continue our journey, And the curtain falls and people applaud, people cry, people laugh, and they come back again and the show continues. So when you look at it that way, then too, nothing is wrong. There's just a script. But then again, if you want to stretch that a bit more, when you wake up this morning, do you know how the day will turn out? You don't. Because life is an improv. You show up, there is no script, and you just roll with the punches. You just go with the flow. Somebody says something and then you say something else. Someone says something else, you say something else. Someone does something and you respond. So there is two ways of living your life, either through choice or by chance. And the best way to live your life by choice, which I learned as a result of my experiences, when I was 8, 10, 12, 14, whatever, is that I created that. So we create things unconsciously and we create things consciously. So as a clinical hypnotherapist, I'll tell you that your conscious mind is 10% of who you are. 90% of who you are is your unconscious mind. So what is more powerful in its power of creation? It's your unconscious mind, because that is 90% of who you are. So when we know that we are creating our reality and that 90% is what is creating everything else, learn the language of your mind. Learn to tell yourself things the way that, as a result of which you will have a reality through which you can have a good life, have a better life, have an empowered life. So that is when you start living through choice. You decide how it will be, because you might have heard that in good times, some people lose money, and in bad times, some people make money. The times, it's still the same times. How come for one person, this is a reality, and for another person, that is a reality? It is by living through choice. So whatever happened to me, I'm grateful for that. I'm extremely grateful for that. I am who I am because of that. I have more compassion. And whoever did whatever to me in those days is not the person who exists right now. I'm not that person who was molested, who was sexually abused right now. And the people who did it are not the same people who they were, 30, 40 years ago. So who am I holding the grudge against? If that is my story, then I need to grow out of that story. And if that is caca, if that is poo-poo, if that is like, it's manure on which this plant grows, I have put my roots down, and all that story is part of the manure because of which, I am who I am right now.
I love that. Such a very succinct and to the point answer. And so before I go any further, I'd like to ask, because I think we really are in a point where a lot of people's trauma is coming up, and we have that choice to live by choice or by chance. So for someone who's out there, who's watching in the audience, and they've gone through something like this, and they're still living by that story, what are some pieces you would give them to help them start moving forward and creating a new story for themselves so they're not rehashing? And, again, we say this out of love. So for anybody who's out there and maybe is feeling a little triggered right now, I would ask you to just lean in and open your mind to this conversation. Yeah. So Keya, if you would tell us, what are some things you would suggest for someone who is wanting to move past that story and create a new one in their life?
Okay. First thing is accept that you have been through hell. Okay. And you survived it. So good job. Okay. You're in pain. I agree. But good job that you survived, because that which did not kill you made you stronger. Period. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Number one. Number two. Okay. Ask for help. You have to reach out and ask for help. And who do you ask for help? You can have a support where you can go and talk about hello, I'm David and I'm an alcoholic. Hello, I'm Sally and I'm an alcoholic. You can do that story for 27 and 29 years and wear that as a badge. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm a molestation survivor. Do that. I'll be like, I'm done with that. I'm done with that. Work with someone who can help you release those layers of conditioning, that energetic layers, that burden, that story you're carrying on your back. Release that story. The way I help my clients release that story is because I'm a writer, I make them write. And when you write, I'm also a handwriting analyst, So I know that when we write with our hand, not text or type, when we write with our hand, things come out from our unconscious. Okay? They come out and initially it's a very cathartic process. You're going to write poor me kind of story. Oh, poor me, oh, poor me, oh, poor me, why me, why me? And you are going to write that story, and that's perfect, but write it. Once you have written it, you have released that story. You no longer own it. Okay, you have released that story, number one. Number two is you write for your reader. Okay, so, and when you do that, you let someone else know that they are not alone in their pain. Okay, you have been through that, you have survived it, and you are stronger because of it. You're not a victim. And so you give someone else a chance to live their story through your story. So you need to work with someone. And you may be like, no, I'm the coach of the town. I am the healer. I am the guru. Think about it, okay? If you're the best dentist in town, okay, and you need your teeth cleaned, your mouth cleaned, your teeth scaled, or your root or whatever worked on, are you going to go inside your own mouth and work on it? No. You're going to go to another dentist to do it. Similarly, you can think of a massage therapist, the best massage therapist in town. You are. But when your back hurts, can you do your own massage? No, you can't. Because when you are massaging, you're working. And when you're receiving a massage, you're relaxing. How can you do both? You see, you need someone else to help you through that. Even an OBGYN, you're the best OBGYN, but when your baby's popping out, someone else has to go in and bring your baby out. Okay? So you always need to work with someone who can help you. And how do you know who is that person who can help you? You always know. You always know who is that person. And the way healing happens is because healing is a lifelong journey. Okay? It's another school that you go through. And there are many gatekeepers, okay? And you have to go through this school and that school and this school and that school. So whenever you're ready to receive a certain kind of healing, that person will come into your life. And when you outgrow that person, go look for the next person. When you outgrow that person, go look for the next person and keep doing, but never quit until you know exactly who you are and you can ground yourself and you have helped at least 5 people be free from their story. That's when you know you have arrived.
And just touching on something you said, because I really feel this is a novel concept that we don't talk about enough. So you are allowed to outgrow and move forward from people and things. I really feel like people get stuck in cycles and with people and relationships and everything because we think we have to be there. But like Keya, like you just said, we'll know when it's time to go. And you have, it's really important that you release this need to feel bad for leaving a situation that no longer serves you. So touching on what you said, it is okay to outgrow people and situations because that's part of your journey. And in fact, if you don't do that when it's time, you're actually hindering yourself from further growth. So phenomenal. I love that. So, all right. One thing I wanted to ask, and I wanted to ask that question to go into this one. So you put in your original title, which you have many titles, so that's what I meant by that question, but this was great. She said, so I really want you to embellish on there is no one to forgive, only the self. And what does that mean?
Okay. So, when stuff happened, let's just talk about me, okay? When stuff happened to me, I thought they did it to me. They did it to me. He did it to me. She did it to me. So that's the victim state, we carry the wound for a long time. And then we realize that I'm 10 years older and these people are 10 years older too. And why am I giving them this permission to continue to hurt me? Because let's say I call you a name, okay, Ashley, blah, blah, blah. And I said it once. And now every time you think of Keya, you think of the blah, blah, blah I said. I have moved on. I said it once. And if you go and tell someone else that Keya, and she said this to me, and the person comes and tells me, Keya, do you remember saying this to Ashley? I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that. Why would I do that? I love her. And you're like, so maybe 10 years later, you meet someone. So for 10 years, you have been telling that story to yourself when I just said it once. So that means the person who victimized you, if at all you want to call them that, the perpetrator, the transgressor, you gave your power away to them. So by holding on to the pain for 10 years, who is to blame now? It's me, because I am holding on to the pain. So the first person to forgive is myself. I have to forgive myself for having held on to that pain. And then I release them. And it's not that when I forgive someone else, I'm not responsible for the karma. It's not that they are absolved from what they did. They still have to deal with their own karma and whatever, But I have freed myself from that cycle of abuse, because most of the emotional abuse is my own creation, because the person did it once and I have done it to myself for 10 years. I'm just making this up. Yeah, so I forgive myself for having held on to that for so long. That's the number one thing.
Well, and you'll be able to touch on this, being an energy healer. This is something that's really, people don't realize that when we go through these things, and I actually would love for you to embellish because this is important. So I read it from the Untethered Soul. So when we go through something traumatic, our energy body actually retains that trauma in some way, shape, or form. I think he called it samskaras. And so what happens is if we don't release these pain bodies from our energetic field, we will actually relive that same story all the way down to the physiological experience that we felt when it originally happened. So you will literally, your body will not know that it is simply a memory. It will rehash it exactly as if you are going through it right in that moment. So you will feel all those things. So, if you will tell us a little bit about how that works in the energy body, because I think this is super important, and I try to get it across so many times to people about why it's really important to work with your energy and understand it. But if you will embellish just a little bit on why it's so important to release these stories from an energetic standpoint.
Yeah, sure. So let's say this is something, not embellishment, this is something that really happened to me. I was nearly abducted, okay, nearly kidnapped. I was on the street and somebody came and stopped me and was preventing me. But then I know that it was not my karma, but for me to realize that this is something that could happen to people, and that happens to people, that person couldn't touch me. He could not touch me, and he just kept trying to stop me from getting away. And I screamed my lungs out, and I peed right on the street from fight or flight. It was that bad. But then I felt this beautiful red gold light come and descend upon me and just engulf me. Okay. But since then, okay, and this is when I was 23 years old. Since then, even now, when I walk on the street, when it is dark, I walk closer to the traffic than away from the traffic. Because I know if I'm closer to the traffic, maybe the traffic will hit me and I will get hurt. But if I'm away from the traffic, who knows if somebody will grab me and what they will do. And I'm not a physically strong girl that someone can do something. I don't even want to get into that. So I'm safer than sorry. So when I'm saying that, it comes up. What if that's going to happen? Yesterday, I left for a walk at past 8:00 and the sun was setting. So by the time I was coming back, it was 9 p.m. And I was walking closer to the traffic because I'm I'm not getting there. Although it is my neighborhood, but I'm who knows? There might be some strange person from some other neighborhood who just showed up over here and who might think of something funny just seeing, a skinny, dark-skinned girl walking down the street, So that will always stay because it's part of your DNA now, because that happened to me. But you cannot let that rule your life. So it's not that when it goes dark, I don't go out. But anytime you go there, this is not something you can just forget it. You can't just erase it. Sometimes people have unknown fears. And where do they get these fears from? They get these fears from being in their mother's womb or from past lives or past generations. It's part of your DNA, the way we are encrypted. We are all extremely intelligent beings. So, and that is why you have to have the daily sadhana. You have to have your daily of spiritual cleansing every day. It's not something you do once a week, you eat salad once and you say oh, I'm eating healthy because I ate a salad once, oh, I brushed my teeth yesterday and I'll brush it again tomorrow, so today I'm good. No, you brush your teeth every single day, It's like that. You meditate every single day. And whatever is the ritual that suits your fancy, stick with it, do it. When you outgrow it, go for something more complicated, It's like when you're in kindergarten, you don't know quadratic equations. But when you're in second grade or in fifth grade and you learn it, do it. So it's the same thing, you have to stick with your own rituals. And, it's not a religious thing, but whatever you need to energetically cleanse yourself, because otherwise the person who nearly abducted me when I was 23 still has power over me. And I will not let that happen.
Exactly. All right. So here was one that I thought was interesting. And this is actually something you've talked about before. So we're going to take a little spin now. So yeah, you remember you telling me this one time, and I read it when you put this. So you talked about your teachers asking about your last name being from South India, and your mother tongue being from North. So how did that help? How was that why was that such an experience that's been imprinted on you?
So I was born in 1966. Okay. So if you think of people who were born in 96 over here too in America, but one parent had a different skin tone and the other parent was doing, like, let's say black and white get together, or, brown and black get together, or white and brown get together, or, Asian and Caucasian get together, and then they have a baby. People didn't know what to do with that. In 1960s, they were like, oh, this is so strange. How come? And in India, even in 2020, people have arranged marriages. And when you have an arranged marriage, this is where care versus control. I care so much about you that I'm going to control you, So it's like a multifold conversation going on over here. But that is how it is in the Indian culture, Your parents decide who you will marry. Your parents decide everything, for you. And people say like, oh, we have to respect our elders and let them do it for us. So whatever, we'll not get into that conversation. But because my father is Telugu and my mother is Bengali, so people always looked at us and said, how come? And when you are 3 years old, you don't know, this is my mom and this is my dad. I don't know, how come? What am I supposed to say or do? But people look at you funny and they think you're funny and they don't want to be friends with you because who knows what's going on in their place. And my mother, she was an educated lady, when all my classmates and their moms didn't know how to read and write, they were like, the thumb impression was the signature. So people felt threatened by my mom. They did feel threatened by her. And this is what a joke a friend and I have is like, men love women who have a mind of their own as long as it's not their wife. So that was the thing, like, maybe their kids will challenge them because our parents gave us choices and kept it open for us, so, but they did not like raising their kids like that. They wanted their kids to be raised like them. So stay away from these people. That's how it was.
Well,
what you don't know, you fear. What you don't understand, you fear. That's what it is, bottom line.
You took the words right out of my mouth and say, we live in a world where what we don't know, we fear, instead of being open to asking, like, what is this, or what am I going to experience with this? All right. So that leads nicely into this. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about the fallout. And I say fallout lightly, though, not really the fallout, but what it was like to get your master's degree and enter into a basically fully male dominated industry, because you put so nicely that you were kind of harangued about being a female in this field and actually taking away income from the other men. So if you will, because I know that there are a lot of women out there who are in male dominated industries and they face a lot of flack. So tell everybody a bit about that experience in your life.
Thank you. So yeah, I studied physics. I also did a little bit of MBA and a little bit of MSW, which is Master in Social Work. And finally I was like, you try everything. And then I was like, okay, let's do this. So I went and I studied computer applications. It is a master's, it's called MS in Computer Science. And we had like 5 girls in our class. And everybody loved it because these boys in technology, they had girls in their class. And I'm talking about the 80s, right? But then when we went to work, people would be like, you're just working for some pocket money, right? And I was single at that time, isn't it? Because your parents are not going to take your money, because it is disrespectful to send your daughter to work. And it's even worse to take your daughter's money. People will look down upon you. Like, how could you send your daughter out to work and why are you taking her money? I know. So that was the conversation in those days. I don't know what it is now. It still is to some extent. And I was like, I didn't come here for pocket money. I came here to work. And the first job that I got, I was paid 300 rupees less than the boys who were hired with me. And I had a master's degree, These guys were only undergrads, and I had to teach them how to write the code. So I was teaching them how to write the code, but because they were men, they were paid 300 rupees more than me. And I had 6 years in the university. They had only 4 years in the university, but they were paid more than me, and I had to teach them how to do their work. That's how it was. Yeah.
So how did you learn to overcome that and persevere through that?
First of all, I'm my mother's daughter. Ha ha ha. Number one. Number two is like, because I think that was again something good that happened, because if my parents were from the same thing and they had raised me very traditionally, okay, go ahead, you can do math, study engineering, but then your job is to get married and be subservient to your husband and your mother-in-law, then I guess, it would have been okay. But because I was trained right from birth to stand up for myself, because I saw my mother do it, I was like, no, I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to tell you, I didn't take. So people would tell my ex, why did you marry her? She didn't even bring in any dowry, and she's Lady Robin Hood. I was called Robin Hood at work. she is like, she just speaks her mind, and she puts people in place, So yeah, that's what I'm like. They are not going to change. I don't need to change for them.
So touch a moment on that, because with your ex, because that's something else you highlighted. And I feel like there's a few people I know personally, but I've also seen a lot of women go through that, where we're dealing with men who feel emasculated by a woman being stronger than them. So what were some of the, I want to say hurdles, not necessarily struggles, but hurdles you had to go through in your marriage, being with a husband who was essentially, I can't remember the word you used, but he was just very like, I want to say threatened by you as an individual.
He was. Yes. So see, this is what happens, again, this is my own theory. Maybe someone else did a PhD on this. I feel like strong women raise strong children, but weak women, the not so strong women raise not so strong men either. So it always goes back to the mom. Your kids are an extension of you. They're not an extension of the dad. They're an extension of you, So because moms raise kids. And I know we can get into a lot of conversation about this, but really, when you are nurturing that fetus in your womb, your baby is marinated and slathered, in that gooey, goopy, mommy spices, So when women who are like subservient and their only identity is being Mrs. So-and-so, then how much strength can they give to their child, to that fetus, and to that baby who's born, So I don't blame anyone, but that is part of, the way our culture has been for all this time. That when a woman stands up for herself, she stands alone. But then I'm like, if the wind does not blow down the tree just goes stronger and more unique in its characteristics.
So that I would like to get your thoughts before I ask you this last question. How do women start really gaining strength from being their own person?
Let go, drop your ego. The first thing is you shave your head. You shave your head, let go of that hair. Let go of all that hair and all the emotions that your hair, because your hair is your antenna. Your hair is your antenna. And I have shaved my head so many times. And again, shaved my head. So that's why you have that bald picture of mine on this thing. And my hair is growing, see, it has all come back, not too bad. So, but it's easy, it's hair, it'll come back, where will it go? The follicles are still inside. So the first thing for your ego is, just ask, like, what if and why not? Start asking your questions, get vulnerable with yourself, get authentic with yourself, and don't care what anyone thinks, because whatever someone else thinks is their opinion of you. If I call you beautiful, it's because I'm looking at you through beauty in my eyes. If I call you ugly, I'm looking at you through ugliness in my eyes. It has got nothing to do with you. So people's opinions are people's opinions, and you have a choice to either receive it and make it your own, or say, no, talk to my hand, or whatever. You don't have to get that aggressive. But if you're like, no, it's your opinion, and I'm quite okay with that, but I know who I am. So know who you are. When you know who you are, you become untouchable, you become invincible. And you don't have to be an angry woman, You can be very compassionate, you can be very powerful, you can be very loving,
I love that. I wanna create that as the archetype, the compassionate woman who says no.
Yeah.
The compassionate woman that says no. It is okay to say no, y'all. In fact, you should try it as often as possible. No. It's okay. All right. So last question, because this one intrigued me the most. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about the journey of hating sales as a solopreneur.
Hating sales. Oh, yes, sales. I don't like sales. I don't like to sell. So it took me a long time to learn, because I was so desperate. I was by myself, 3 kids, and my youngest one at that time was 5. Oldest one was 11. That's 2005 I'm talking about. So for 15 years, I have run or managed, worked as Ventura Healing Center. So people have told me, oh, Keya, you have everything in place. I said, no, it's called desperation. It's called the fire in the belly. And the promise you make to your kids, you guys will have 3 warm meals, and you'll have a roof, and you'll have running water. So you do whatever it takes. And this is what I believe. And again, if you believe in God, then know that God doesn't want you to starve or live in a shoebox under a bridge, number one. And if you believe in the universe, know that the universe has your back. So, I would meditate and I would write. And because 30 years ago, I was part of the generation that built the internet. Yes, 30 years ago, I was part of the generation that built the internet. 30 years later, we are all using the internet to talk to each other, with quarantine and everything. So I'm like, okay, what I sowed then, I'm reaping now. And I'm also sharing it with the world, that's abundance, I'm just like, oh, I did that and I'm going to keep it all to myself. No. Everybody gets to use it. So sales, I have never been able to sell, but then it took me some time to learn that selling is just sharing, and you do it a few times and you do it, and somebody will say yes to you. When they are ready for that change, they will come to you and they will work with you and they will let you help them, and you be yourself, and and have that faith. And this is something I want to leave the listeners with, is to know that your faith should be stronger than any fear you entertain, and when you do something, even when you do it, so courage, this is what I will tell you, okay? So courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage means doing it despite your fear, You just do it and the right people will be like, no, I want you. I really want to work with you. So I used to always say, even 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I used to say this, that whoever I used to, like, if you want to call it a prayer, I used to call upon Spirit and say, Spirit, dear Spirit, whoever you want to help through me, bring them to my door today and let us do it together.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'll have to remember that. You might have to type that to me.
Okay, I will.
So this leads us nicely into the last little bit, since we're coming up on the end of this. That went by quick. And it's 8/21, which is my birthday. I'm going to tell you something. You want to talk about numbers? I've been seeing my birthday for like the last 2 weeks. It's pretty crazy, right?
You're born every day. You're born every day. I still have to do your chart. Yeah.
I know, right? Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm all for anybody wanting to do that. I love learning new things, you guys. I want to say that before we go any further. Everybody, please take time today, because something that I've noticed quite recently with social media is we are not taking the time to be open to other people's perspectives and practice compassion. You don't have to love what somebody else says. And if you don't, remember there's this little thing called the unfollow and unfriend buttons, and you can hit those. Okay. You don't have to scream at other people, but practice compassion, lean in and open your mind to other perspectives, because you really don't know what you're going to learn in the process. So I want to say that I felt really compelled to share that. But Keya, if you will share with us, if someone wants to come up to you at the end of this conversation or a speaking engagement and ask you for just some real life advice to get them through, what are 3 things that you would give to them?
Okay. Fear is an illusion. Okay. Fear is an illusion. Fear is like darkness in a room that you have stepped into and forgot to turn the light. The moment you turn on the light, love takes over, your faith spreads, and fear, like the shadows, go and stick themselves in the corner. And the moment you flip that switch and you turn the light off, fear will take over. So remember that. And you are the light. Okay, you are the light. So fear should not have any space in your life. Number 1. Number 2, what I will tell you is, so what if you make mistakes? How else are you going to learn? So when you falling, you don't have a choice. But not getting up after you have fallen, that's your personal choice. And the third thing I'll tell you is, if you do something bad to me, shame on you. But if you do something bad to me and I let you do it again, then shame on me. So the first time someone does something bad to you, remember that it's about them. But the second time you let them do it again to you, it's up to you. It's your story now. You let them.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Same thing. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So tell everybody now a little bit about where they can connect with you, and what's the best way if they want to work with you moving forward. What's the best way to get a hold of you, and what services do you offer primarily at the moment?
I do one-on-one sessions and I do group sessions. So group sessions are masterminds where you come in a group and then we all work together and everybody gets their personal time with me. And plus you have the consistent support of working weekly with me and the collective where everyone supports each other. That's the group sessions. And one-on-one, I provide astrology, I provide personal mentoring, I provide healing, hypnosis, NLP, whatever have you. Whatever, if you feel in your life either lost or stuck or overwhelmed, then you need to talk to me, call me. And the best way to get a hold of me is go to my website, which is coachkeya.com, and Keya is Keya. So K as in kangaroo, E as in echo, Y as in Yankee, A as in apple, coachkeya.com. And you can just fill in your information on the website or subscribe to the newsletter. And I do weekly meditations and stuff like that for free. And you can download all that information. Or if you want to have a conversation, just visit the website coachkeya.com/clarity. And we will have a conversation and then we can take it from there. What do you have to lose? It's just a conversation.
I love that. What do you have to lose? It's just a conversation. I'm going to name a book that. What do you have to lose? It's just a conversation. And it's going to be all my many, many conversations I've had with all of the amazing women. It's like, what do you have to lose? Just an interview, right? All right, you guys. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Keya, for this. I love this. This was awesome. This was a renewing of my interviewing skills here. You were my guinea pig here. I got to test
I love
that
it.
on there. I love it too. One thing I will say on top of everything that you said, you guys, one thing I encourage, and it's been a really pivotal shift in my own life, is get curious about life. And what this allows you to do, we talk about that childlike wonder and being in awe. It allows you to walk through, it's allowed me, I can't speak for anybody else, I never speak for anybody else, but it has allowed me to walk through life with just having an awe. I used to tell people that, or actually, I used to, but one of my favorite things to do is to actually get lost on purpose So I'll go like on a bike ride or I'll go walk and I'll be like, oh, I wonder where this road goes. And I have no idea. Now, don't do this at night if you're a woman, especially. Don't go get lost in a weird neighborhood that you don't know. Don't do that. I'm not suggesting that. But if you're somewhere and you've never been somewhere, get lost. If you're in another culture, take the time to just get lost and get immersed and get curious about where you're at. And the same goes for yourself. So one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life was get lost in myself and get curious about who I was. Because back to what you said, the person I was even 10 minutes ago is not the person I am now. And we always have the opportunity to be curious and be open. And you will be absolutely amazed what that's going to do for your life when you choose to start showing up with, because when I feel like when we're in that space, anything is truly possible because we have no idea what the hell's going on, right? We're just like, oh, okay, look at that. Look at what happened here, right? Because we're living life from a state of curiosity. So thank you guys so much. I want you guys to keep hanging in there. Just keep paying attention with us as we move forward into the TV show, the Hero Success Channel. I'm so excited. Like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. We're going to kick ass, you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here. Please tune in next Tuesday for our next panel. If you guys catch us on the replay, #replay. I'm sorry that it was glitchy tonight with the comments, but thank you to everybody who joined in. And if you put #replay, let us know some of your thoughts, what it is that you loved, and please feel free to connect with Keya. And as always, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.